I went into a public house to get a pint of beer. The publican he ups and says, "We'll serve no red coats here." The girls behind the bar, they laughed and giggled fit to die. I out into the street again and to myself said I, "Oh, it's Tommy this and Tommy that and Tommy go away." But it's "Thank you, Mr. Atkins," when the band begins to play. The band begins to play, my boys, the band begins to play. Oh, it's "Thank you, Mr. Atkins," when the band begins to play. And thus it is, and thus it was, and thus it always will be. Young working class lads sent to the front to die at the whim of the classes that rule our countries, the classes who have absolutely no qualifications to be in the positions they're in, and who, under other circumstances, would be let nowhere near the corridors of power. And that was the first verse of Tommy, written by Rudyard Kipling in 1890, a poem written about young lads, young working class lads going off to war and how they were treated. How they were treated then and how many are treated now. It was about how society saw them and treated them before they went away. Treated them shabbily, as if they were ruffians and ne'er-do-wells. And then when they went away, they were lauded and told they were wonderful people as they all got blown apart in wars, in the trenches. And then when they came home again, they were treated just as shabbily as they were before they went. And thus it was, and thus it will probably always be. The Tommy referred to is actually Tommy Atkins, which was a colloquial name for low-ranking soldiers in the British Army. And doesn't that seem just so relevant today in the way we treat people in our communities? Lads who go in the army, usually, they're usually working class lads, unless they're the officer class. They're usually working class lads who are a bit disillusioned with life and see the army as an adventure, as just something, a job they can do because they can't get a job anywhere else, and that's getting more and more prevalent as the years go by. But nobody wants to go into the army anymore. Why would they? You don't get treated with respect. I was never one. I wouldn't have gone in the army. I had friends who went in the army, and they were rumans, they were bits of lads, but weren't we all? Everybody, when I was a kid, was full of testosterone and angst and anger and wanting to fight and wanting to lash out, but it was accepted and people ignored it, except it seems for the lads who went into the armed forces. They were singled out for special treatment. They were treated as brutes. Now, this isn't specifically about people. This isn't about people in the army. This isn't about squaddies. Squaddies being another term for low-ranking lads in the army. This isn't about that. This is just about how we treat each other, how we treat young people. And then we blame them for almost every ill in the world, don't we? We blame them for being lazy. And I'm as guilty. I just say, come on you lot, get a bloody job. None of you want to work these days. When I was young, I did this and I did that. And I did. And I worked every day of my life, and I went into work with broken limbs because it was just a work ethic. And that seems to have gone. But it's also made easier by a benefit culture that lets you just self-diagnose and say, oh, I'm not very well, I've got an headache, I've got ADHD, I've got this, I've got that. Can I go on benefits? Yes, you can. Of course, people are going to take advantage of that system because we as a species seem quite weak. When given the easiest option, we'll always take it. But that doesn't seem... that seems more like a 21st century thing to me. Just because, where are the people of daring do? Where are the Robert Falcon Scotts? Where are the Amundsons? Where are they all? They were there, they were eager. They were eager to do, they were eager to roll their sleeves up and do. And why aren't we nowadays? Why do we take the soft option? And we do, and I don't even know if I was working whether I would. I'd like to think not, I really would like to think not. I think I have a better work ethic than that, but I just don't know. We as a species seem to have an unhealthy obsession with celebrity, don't we? We laud actors who are doing nothing more than repeating someone else's lines. We call footballers heroes for scoring a goal. It's celebrity, it's adoration for people who are doing nothing more than doing what they're particularly good at. We do wave flags and parades for our young as they walk past in uniform. And then as soon as they're out of sight, we vilify them. Call them brutes, call them worthless. Not everybody, many of us do respect it, but why do you think the world's going down the pan? It's because young people are not given the respect when they earn it. Everybody has to earn respect, you just don't get respect, but it seems that they just can't do enough. And I criticise the young loads of times. I criticise all these idiots who are charging around on bikes, nicking phones. I'd cut their hands off. I criticise people just randomly going round abusing little old ladies and the way that 11-year-olds scream and shout obscenities into your face, and the old adage, I blame the parents. I do blame the parents for the most part. What happened to that as well? What happened to parenting? We all just got lazy. It just got too easy to pass it on to somebody else. It's the teacher's fault, it's the policeman's fault, it's society's fault, it's not my fault. My mum dropped me on my head when I was a kid, and that's what's made me an idiot and an unfit parent. And now I'm going off onto a bit of a rant. But this is just about how we treat each other. I'm only using Kids in the Army because I actually love Tommy by Rudyard Kipling. It makes me angry, it gets me blood flowing, it makes me feel patriotic, it makes me feel like I love my fellow man. And I'm just using that as a vehicle to rant to you lot out there about how we treat each other. Because we do, don't we? And then we blame, there's no jobs for anybody. There's no jobs for kids. There's no jobs for adults. But kids aren't as emotionally capable of actually taking that on board and saying, right, let's do this, let's do that, let's take another route, let's try this, let's try that. Have we thought of being self-employed? Have we thought of doing this? Have we thought of doing that? Have we thought of moving? Have we thought of getting on our bikes and cycling to find a new job? Those old enough in the UK will remember Norman Tebbit saying that. But kids, I don't think they're emotionally capable of, not all of them anyway, of doing that. It hits a brick wall. We all did it when we were young, didn't we? You hit a brick wall and you don't know where to go. So the easiest thing to do is just down tools, sit down and say, that's me done. And you look round and you think, well, I've no money, but if I go on the benefits, I can get money. So you do. It's the easy option. Who can blame anybody? I can't blame anybody. I didn't just because I didn't. Because I used to get up every morning and go to work. It was just something I did. You know, if I'd thought about it, I might have said, oh, this is hard work, why don't I just sit on my bum and do nothing? But I don't think I would have done, because I get bored easily. And it was something to do, somewhere to go, get some money in my pocket, be proud of getting that money in my pocket. I earned it. I earned nothing. Not many people. Well, I remember when I was 16, I got an apprenticeship, and I got £6, 7 and 6. So about, how much would that be? $7 or $8, I don't know, a week as an apprentice. And I loved it because I got it in a brown paper packet with a little window in it that you could see how much you'd got. And I loved it, and it gave me a feeling of pride, of accomplishment, of belonging. I belonged to society. Once I started working in society and getting paid for society, I was part of society. And that just went on and on and on for the rest of my life. It was just a natural thing. It was no input from me. I wasn't better than anybody else. I just did what I did. I did what everybody else did. And I think that's a problem now, because if you get so many people, young and old, not working, you're obviously detached from society. You don't feel part of the society. So what happens? Obviously society breaks down. And that's what I can see happening now. Society is breaking down because there's no common bond, there's no commonality, there's no purpose, there's no guiding destiny that we're all working towards. I remember when there was. Oh God, I just sound like a boring old boomer now, and I bet anybody watching this, don't come after me in the comments, because I'm just having a rant. And if you come after me in the comments, I'll probably leave comments that I regret after I've sent them. But there was. We seem to have lost that sense of guiding destiny towards a common goal. And there are many reasons for that. And many people all over media, all over the news, they have their own opinions on why society is fracturing and breaking down. And I have my own opinions and you will have yours. But we can't deny that it is. You can't go around saying society is great. It's a cohesive bond between our fellow men, because it's not. Because we've got kids on e-bikes going round snatching phones off people. We've got people stabbing each other. Those are the kids. We've got people going into shops of all ages, just robbing. And then the government saying, well, that's all right. It's not a crime. You rob away, lads. Rob away. Because that breaks down society, because the shops you are robbing from are probably the shops that were the meeting place years ago for the community, where everybody would meet and chat and bond. Honesty box. I remember honesty boxes. I remember when I had my narrowboat and I used to go up and down the canal, and there were little boxes at the side of the canal, and they'd have eggs in and milk. And there'd be a little price telling you how much each was, and a bowl. And you'd put your money in the bowl. You get your eggs, put your money, and nobody would dream of not doing that nowadays. Not only would somebody come along and take an egg, a box of eggs or a bottle of milk, no, they take all the eggs and all the milk. Because not only are we kind of entitled, we're also greedy. They would probably pinch more than they need and throw most of it away. And this, I'm afraid, is what's happening today. You may disagree with me, and that's absolutely fine. That's up to you. Disagree away. But I feel that's the way it's going. And it's sad. I won't be around to see it, but I actually want to be. I wish I could be around for the next 50 years, 100 years, just to see how it all turns out, because I'm hoping that we can pull ourselves together. I'm hoping that we can bury our differences. But I think there are things that are happening in the world that are actually making that an impossibility. I think the world has gone too far. It was nice while it was going, wasn't it? It was nice while we had it. It was a great fun ride while we had it, and now it's all going to shit. And it's people like Tommy Atkins that are given the blame, isn't it? The working class white lad who not only can't get a job, but is actually companies going out and saying they will not offer him a job. No white lads allowed. And that's it. And then you wonder why. You wonder why Tommy Atkins is angry. Oh, we wonder why. When all we've done is kick him in the teeth. He ever asked to be brought into this world, none of us did. So, if you're brought into this world, your parents and society at large have some kind of responsibility for you because you didn't wish this upon yourself. Did you? We belittle each other, don't we? Whether we know it or not. There's a presenter on a radio station and he's from down south. He's in London. So he talks about people. And at the moment, there's a by-election going on in a place called Makerfield, which is next door to the constituency where I was born, in Leigh. And we're up north. And we have an accent. And for some in certain parts of the country, we have an image of being slightly Neanderthal and slightly backward and slightly slow and slightly less articulate and slightly less intelligent. And we're not. But when this presenter talks about northern people, he immediately, and I think he does it without thinking, puts on an almost comical, musical northern accent. Up north, he starts talking about people up north, like that. And he don't know he's doing it, and it offends me. And I'm not going to be churlish enough to mention his name, Jeremy Kyle. And this is it. We kind of, without thinking about it, we're all against each other, we pit each other, and then we say, oh, don't worry about it, I was only joking. Well, yeah, and we can take it as a joke, but there are things, we all have identities that we protect desperately. Each country has its own identity and you will protect that. If somebody starts calling the English, I will go mad. If somebody starts calling Americans, America will go. Germany, France, Sweden, Switzerland, wherever in the world, you will protect your homeland. And that is not only right, that is good and honourable. But we seem to do it without thinking about it, don't we? We seem to get at each other without thinking about it. And this seems to be this underlying current in society today. And the trouble is, we know it. And the trouble is, we don't forget. And this leads to animosity and animus and anger. And people fighting in the street and nations fighting in the field. And pretty soon it will be planets fighting in space, and it just goes on and on and on. And at its basic form, it's like Tommy Atkins, the squaddy. We all laud them when they parade down the street, but then go mad at our daughters if they say they want to marry a squaddy. Honourable young men, honourable young men. You talk of better food for us and schools and fires and all. We'll wait for extra rations if you treat us rational. Don't mess about the cookroom slops, but prove it to our face. The widow's uniform is not the soldier man's disgrace. For it's Tommy this and Tommy that and chuck him out, the brute. But it's saviour of his country when the guns begin to shoot. And it's Tommy this and Tommy that and anything you please. And Tommy ain't a blooming fool. You bet that Tommy sees. We shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.